Hello, my friends, and welcome back. This evening, I have an article. It's a very interesting article. I do not know if uh, it is accurate or not, but the claims are that Ukraine appears to begin uh, shelling Russian territory. So this is an article from Fox News dated March 29th, 2022, and it reports by Michelle Lee, and it's titled Ukraine appears to have begun shelling Russian territory. And it says here that the Russian authorities were forced to place two villages under emergency orders and evacuate some citizens due to Ukrainian shelling in the area, according to reports from multiple Russian media outlets. Um, it says here that it was an explosion, um, allegedly. So Interfax, another Kremlin-friendly publication, reported that blah blah blah, nearby town of Zuravyovka and the nearby town of Niekoteyevka were placed under emergency orders, and roughly 180 people were evacuated to the city of Belgorod as the result of an explosion at an ammunition depot. Interfax did not pin blame for the explosion on Ukraine, but it did note that authorities believe it was not an accident. Okay, so we have here the Pentagon press secretary John Kirby, who does not always tell the truth. That's for sure, but maybe he is right now. He says that the movements of the reports came as the Russian military has begun to redeploy some forces that were being encircling the Ukrainian capital of Kiev. So John Kirby states that the movements were more of a repositioning than a retreat by Russian forces. You think? And then it says here, Kirby said the Russian military has failed to take Kiev and most Ukrainian population centers. Someone, he said, was a Russian military objective since the onset of the invasion. I do not think so. I disagree with that. And I'm telling you why. The Russians stopped by Kiev. They did not invade Kiev. It was not like a siege of Kiev. Since this invasion started, um, the Russians moved quickly from Belarus, from north, went down and stopped around Kiev, surrounded it, and that's where they stayed. They didn't attack. There was some exchange of fire, so on, left and right, but it was not something that it was a siege. Now I know that Western media focuses on the siege of Kiev and everything about Kiev, and if Kiev did not, Kiev will fall, Kiev will not fall. You have the Klitschko, uh, Vladimir Klitschko crying all the time and blaming Carlson, uh, Candace Owens, me, you, that you don't come and kill the Russians and so on. And it's our fault. Blood is on our hands, and all this kind of shaming, blame shifting, and guilt building. And then you have Zelensky who flies wherever he wants. You don't know where he's at. So let me tell you this: if the Russians wanted to be what they are portrayed to be in Western media, Kiev would be without people at this point. I'm talking about alive people. They would have just bombed out of it. Just rockets, 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 rockets. You don't even have to bring the tanks over there. Well, if Putin would be so scared and so destroyed and so mentally unstable and crazy and madman and upset and all that and throws kind of feats, he would just send some rockets over there and be done with Kiev in maybe a few hours. Remember Syria, how they pinpointed and they bombed here and there wherever they wanted. So it could be done here very easy. So the reason that this is not done is because the decision has not been taken. Now, if the Ukrainians will send a few bombs to Russia and will kill civilians, I can tell you that the Russians will switch to bombing their Ukrainian cities, just like, not like the mass media says they do, because if they would have done that, the war would have been over like 2 weeks ago. But obviously they don't seem to do that. And remember, 1945, I think it was, Dresden, what the British and Americans did to the city, or the German city of Dresden. More than 100,000 civilians were burned, killed, destroyed by bombed by American and British bombers. That was a war crime. Rather, well, you can say, well, London was hit with V1, V2, with whatever. Well, look at London's destruction that is played down as being not even 10% or something with Dresden. And besides, remember that that great leader called Churchill, he wanted to throw anthrax over German cities. His generals, his military staff prevented him. According to an historian, and I'm not going to place his name here because it's not really politically correct, he claimed that actually the anthrax was ready to go. It was just the decision that was needed to be taken. And the Prime Minister, Churchill, said, yeah, consider I'm going to do that. And he was stopped by his military staff. Now, I don't know, there were all kind of, remember the First World War. It was not the Germans who started using gas. It was the allies, the other side. They started first, and then the Germans retaliated. Now, I don't know if history hurts because it comes from other side and you don't like it, but let's call it as it is. So here, if the Ukrainians will bomb something on the other side, I don't know what the Russians should do, because if they don't do anything, that would be a crime against their own people. So the Ukrainian, I'm not saying if you're desperate to desperate, but if you target civilians, and even though war is not fair, I mean, let's go with that. The war is not fair. It tries to have certain rules and so on, but it's not really fair. So I can't expect proportionality as well. Like, okay, I used 3 bombs here, you should use 3 bombs there. No, I'm gonna do this, or if you do this, and it's about winning and losing, staying alive or dying. It was something more here, where we have experts talking. And when I hear the word experts, and they bring me experts from Gulf War or Syria or something like that, it's like, those were the experts, right? Afghanistan, but they tell me this and that, and the military experts that did this and that, or the intelligence community. I have a problem with those guys because they lied too many times, and they did so many things that they were not supposed to, but they did. It says here, but some experts remain skeptical of the peace negotiations, with author and former DIA intelligence officer Rebecca Koffler telling Fox News Digital Tuesday that Ukrainian demands are likely a non-starter for Russia. I think you're right, Rebecca. You're very right. It's a non-starter. And it says here, she says this lady, regretfully, this negotiation is another tactic by Putin to buy time to regroup and cause confusion among European and US leaders, and most importantly, our intelligence services, Koffler said. Well, to buy time to what? To have sanctions imposed on him? To buy time to what? To regroup? Is he in disarray? Is he losing? I heard that the leaders of Donetsk and Lugansk are about to declare joining Russia, and referendum. So that means that if you're in that at that point, that would tell me that those regions are kind of like clear and how do you want to call them, liberated. And then it says to cause confusion among European and U.S. leaders, and most important, our intelligence services. Yeah, okay, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but there are some things that are contradict themselves. To I mean, you make this guy Putin so evil and so strong and so crazy and so powerful, and then you make it so weak and so childish. And reality is that he's not using what a person that you say he is would use, and he's not using them. So certain facts do not match the psychological imbalance that these guys are claiming occurs in Putin's brain at this point. And then again, they are pushed back. Well, if they're pushed back, they're gonna ramp up the bombing, because make no mistake, Russia has the capability to bomb Ukraine like this, to make it like this table right here. They have that. The reason why they're not using that tells a different story than this mass media tell us about the leaders of from the Russian leaders. Otherwise, why do you need to how do you call it? Why do you need to waste time, resources, military? You lose support in your country if you have human losses. So throw a few bombs and then you clear everything. But they don't do that. So that tells me that that's not the plan. And then what are the Western countries going to do? They're not going to do anything. They're not going to do it. Whether they're going to do more than they already did. The only thing that they can do right now is one thing: military action. And there's not going to be a conventional war. There was going to be an atomic war. So do you think the Westerners really want to get engaged in that? Look at your lives. Look at our lives. Do we want to lose this? I don't think so. That's why in Western countries, the middle class is the buffer class between the very, very rich and it's because they are just a little bit better than everybody. So, I'm doing okay. Yeah, I don't want to lose this. The guy up there, he has a lot to lose, but he has time to lose. You don't have time. You're very close to fall down there. And this guy right here, it's already there. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's the class warfare. That's everywhere in any society, even in the communist societies. I lived in one. So anyway, thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and see you soon. Ciao.